Hey guys, what's up? Happy grinding. Here's another Sunday grind for you. Starting a little bit later today, starting 1 p.m. Pacific time instead of 10 or 11. I do this because I am not a morning person and I like to be fresh and focused still in the middle in the evening, in the middle of the day and in the evening, as I'm sure a few of the guys are kind of getting burnt out or uh, the weight of the morning terms are taking a toll on them by then. And I think I focus a little bit better with more sleep, so that's the reason for that. So we have two going. In an hour or two, we'll have a bunch going like last week. Bring you some updates, hopefully some interesting hands, some good news, and some tips. I've been meaning to put out some other videos. I'm new to using Camtasia, the program I use to capture my screen. So I've made one or two videos that I was going to post. They weren't anything too special, but the content was too long or I messed up on the video and the formatting and stuff, so just kind of erased them and moved on. So hopefully it'll be more updates, more current, some better content coming up soon. And I'm going to keep trying to figure out this program. So I might end up repeating maybe a quote or a thought or tips, but hey, if you hear it more than once, you'll probably remember it, so that might be good. So let's start with the quote of the day. A quote that I read recently that I like is, "Life's a test, not a final. Just keep on going." And something else to talk about is I am a sucker for reality TV. Record and watch a lot of different reality shows. One of them I watch is called Taking the Stage. It's a show. It's a second season show about high school kids that are really talented in music and performing arts. And let me pause this story while we have the jacks here. Here's an interesting spot. I'm early position. I raise. I've been active though, and I lost spot to this guy already. So no point really re-raising. He folds out better his bluffs, and I'm not sure I'm ahead. That's a good flop for jacks, if I say so. So let's think about his range. If he's got a tight value range, which I'm assuming he does with his large bets, and with me being under the gun, he's pretty much. It looks like he's pretty much committed no matter what I do. I'm just gonna call and let him hang himself on the turn just to make sure if he is bluffing. I mean, any of his hands, kings, queens, aces, ace, jack, are all shoving this turn anyways. King, queen, probably doesn't re-raise a pre-flop, but if he does, he's probably jamming the turn. I don't really need to do too much work, so just calling is fine. The pot's big enough anyways. So here 300, like, it looks weak, right? But if he's a thinking player, this is a play I like to use too also, is bet looking weak. Hopefully that the person kind of tools out, monkeys out, and jams on you. I mean, like, he's not going to have nines just be betting and giving up. And if he does have nines, he's just checking behind anyways. So I'm just going to jam and probably get called by some strong hand. Yep. Okay. Standard hand, cooler for him. I think in my last video I talked about, as a general tip, is always taking notes on people. So I'm going to go into my notes here and just put down some timing tells and some thoughts about that hand. That way we know what he's capable of if we ever run into him again. So he insta 3-bets aces from mid position versus second position opener. And then he c-bets 80% of pot on a deuce 10 jack rainbow. And then he fires, let's see, what was that? 300 into like 2K? Or is it? Yeah. So he fires 1/7. Fires, let's put tiny on turn and calls reship. Blank turn. Okay, so it's a basic note. I mean, his hand is kind of standard. The thing that sticks out is that his continuation bet was pretty big, so the size of his hand is probably going to be displayed in his bet sizing. Although on the turn he got tricky, betting a really tiny. So we know he's capable of that. Here, King Queen is isolated limper. He insta calls. This type of board really hits his range with suited connectors, small pairs. So not going to bluff it. Jack could be a bluff card for me, but I don't think he has really much intention of check folding. It's not too scary. It's one card, so I'm just going to give up on it. And he does have suit connector 4-5. Maybe he folds. We fire 600 on the river. Hard to tell. Ultimate bet. The people are they play a little bit different. They call a lot. And early in a tournament, you don't really want to be trying to push people off hands too often. And then I also had a hand where, we'll bring it up real quick. This was the history, or the hand I had real early on in the tournament. Let's find it. Okay, so open the button. You can pretty much argue that it's profitable to open the button with any two cards, but then when you have a reasonable hand, like a connector, 9-10, then there's a really good argument for it being profitable. We can kind of go into that real quick just for general tips. You want to always try and keep your image in the middle. If you're too tight, you're easy to play against. People assume and know that you always have it, and they're not going to give you much action. And so when you do flop big hands or you have big hands, you're not going to get too much action unless they make a huge mistake. But people don't make too many big mistakes versus really tight players because they just know or assume that they have it. If you're too loose and aggressive and wild and a maniac, then you're making a mistake and you're easy to play against because people know this and they're going to play a little bit better against you. They're going to make the big calls that they need to. They're going to trap you. They're going to let you hang yourself. So as long as they're paying attention, they're going to do all these things as well. And they're never really going to give you credit. Obviously, if you know that you have this image, you can use that to your advantage. And if you have the tight image, you can use that to your advantage. But people who play too tight or too maniacal either aren't aware of that or don't use it well. Okay, so you want to be in the middle. If you're in the middle, people know that you're capable of raising some speculative hands, capable of making double barrel bluffs, triple barrel bluffs. They know that you're just capable of doing things, but they also know that you're good or that you're solid enough that you also play good hands and you play them in a very similar fashion, so you're very credible. And so now it really keeps them stuck in the middle and they're always guessing. The more you're guessing or the more the other people are guessing, the more pressure it is and the more liable you are to make a mistake. So you want to put the pressure on them, and so an argument for raising the button with anything, or let's say a 9-10 offsuit. One is the blinds don't defend too often. Even if they do defend, you have position. When you're a person betting, you're able to read their hand better than they're able to read yours. They're stuck guessing, and you're getting more and more information from theirs. When they check call you, you know that they have something that correlates with that board often. So now you just kind of have to figure it out. So the more the cards come, the more actions you get out of them, especially being in position. The more you can kind of narrow down their hand range and make a play that puts a lot of pressure on them either way. If you have the nuts and they call you, or if you have the best hand and they call you, they've made a mistake. If you have the worst hand and they fold, they've made a mistake. And so they're always guessing. Anyway, so that's a quick explanation. I'm sure most of you know this, and I can elaborate or go on more and give more examples. You guys just let me know if that's something you're interested in. So, well, actually, one extra reason is it keeps your image a little bit active. If you're too tight, like I said, you're not going to get any action and people are going to try and run you over. If you're in the middle where you're at least a little bit active and you're defending a little bit and you're making and you're out there doing some things, people are going to notice that, and so they might not mess with you as much, and they're also going to know that you're playing in the middle, and so you're going to get some more action when you do have big hands, and it's going to give you just kind of a better image overall.